Okay, so the outdoor classroom group, you guys can just turn left here.
The Urban Ecology program compels you to become more environmentally aware. It really inspires young people.
John.
You're doing something that a lot of kids can't do, and you're having fun at the same time. Yeah, we tried to go higher, but we weren't tall enough.
Right.
We'd find our own data. We felt like the actual scientists, so we'd be the teachers teaching other students.
Some holes like these, they're okay.
This iTest program seemed to be a wonderful way to bringing together the traditional sciences of how ecosystems work, but then connecting them to the social needs of people who live in urban areas.
Rather than something that is decontextualized and abstract out of a textbook, the kids now have actual data on the impact of changing environmental conditions around their house.
The bird projects that we're doing include a science called bioacoustics. We're interested in whether or not the noise of the city impacts the communication systems that these birds use.
There was an article that appeared in Nature, which is one of the premier science research magazines in the world. They had found that birds in cities seem to be raising their pitch more than birds in a more rural area. And so we took advantage of that idea and wonder if such a thing could be happening here in the U.S.
Up there, right there.
We decided to engage kids in the investigation of that process. So really having the kids go out and begin to investigate cutting-edge, real scientific research.
You have the ability and the skill to actually conduct your own experiments and make your own scientific conclusions, valid scientific conclusions on what you're experimenting on.
One pair of kids are identifying the bird. Another set of kids are busy pointing the directional microphone at that bird and getting the recording.
We actually get to do something. It's like, oh, so this is how it feels like to be a scientist. I like this a lot. At this moment, the bird is calling, and then this right here is the sound of the ambulance. And then this is the blue jay call right here. It had to compete with that one.
They analyze the data that they collect having to do with the amount of bird communication and urban noise and comparing those two variables over a period of time.
So the kids have their data, they come back in, and on the computer there's installed a program called Raven Light. It was a free program from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and what Raven Light allows the kids to do is to import the sound that they have recorded and look at it in the form of a spectrograph.
You hear it with and without the siren, so you can actually tell that the bird would definitely have to fight to get its voice heard through the siren.
The ability of this technology to make it so available to students is really extraordinary. And so a student can go out and record 20 or 30 calls and come back to the lab and within 10 minutes have all of them visualized. And then they can begin to ask quantitative questions about how these calls have changed.
So let's head to the outdoor classroom area. Feel free to spread out.
Alright, I got it. Is it level?
This is really a pin-8. It's a little confusing. The ultimate goal for the tree project is for kids to be able to think about the impact of the trees in their neighborhood in terms of economic impact, and also to look at the impact ecologically. So that's air quality impacts and pollution removal.
The research that we do and the data that we collect, we're the ones that's gathering the information and helping understand the effects. We have the power to do that.
Kids have to collect a whole series of basic information regarding the tree. They have to identify the tree species.
It's oak.
What kind of oak?
It's a northern branch.
Then they also have to understand how much carbon is actually stored in the tree, and so they measure the diameter of the tree at breast height. They use a clinometer in basic geometry to try to figure out how tall the tree is.
We got 19 feet 11 inches plus the other side, which is 6 feet 2 inches.
Kids will need to use that information when they get back into the classroom.
Okay, so I want you to write one question that you have about the data.
The power of the Urban Tree Project is we engage kids in asking research questions that are the same questions that cities ask. The software program allows the kids to become, in essence, urban planners and urban designers.
Using the program, you can hypothetically put younger trees, larger. You can do anything you want with it, and you can find out the effects of that in the environment.
The students present their findings and advocate to a small group of peers about what they have learned and the changes that they recommend.
Our difference was about
$11.
$11, and for the reason that being is because pear trees don't really grow that big.
It reinforces both their scientific inquiry skills as well as their writing skills and their oral presentation skills.
So in essence, it creates a chance to practice doing a scientific argument. Here's how we did our method, here's our data, and here's our results. It is real scientific data that if somebody really wanted to use the data to investigate a research question, they could.
Being in these classrooms is just an extraordinary experience. Science is done in an integrative fashion. And what we need is a cadre of young people who understand that great science will be done only through collaboration. And so the young people working with us in this iTest project are able to see how technology can build communities.
Why is this $0 then? That's just not odd.
It's going to come up with some more questions. You feel like a scientific community because scientists like to share their data. I thought we found a golden finch.
Since I've been in this program, I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like my mind's more open to things that I was never thinking about before.
Yeah, hear the bird now.
You have knowledge that your peers at your age don't normally have. You partake in experiences that most people don't really have until they go to college. So, it creates a sense of distinction.